Today we're driving the 2022 Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. We have a 2.9 liter twin turbo V6, 505 horsepower, 443 pound-feet of torque. That engine is mated to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission, all-wheel drive, of course. We get a torque vectoring rear differential, adaptive suspension, carbon fiber drive shaft, lots of great high-performance stuff in this Stelvio Quadrifoglio. We most recently drove the BMW X3M and the Porsche Macan S, so we can probably make some comparisons in this video to those two vehicles. Let's walk you around this real quick. We'll show you what it looks like inside and out, and then we'll take it for a drive and really enjoy some time behind the wheel on the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, because it is a blast. First things first, this is painted in Verde Motreal tri-coat, and it just looks insane. This Stelvio has gotten more attention this week than a lot of supercars or high-performance sports cars. People taking photos of it everywhere. I've had to keep it in the garage, otherwise it just gets too much attention in the driveway. So, pretty cool looking color. I think it's worth the optional extra if you're about it. Talk about a car to drive on St. Patrick's Day, especially with the Shamrock up here. Oh man. 21-inch wheels, they look equally insane, making these massive brake rotors look kind of small, honestly, but we're wrapped in Pirelli P0 tires. The Stelvio is kind of a little bit smaller of a performance SUV. It's not huge in the back, but it's enough space, I think. A little bit shorter dimensions. I'm 5'10", seated behind myself. I'm pretty comfortable back here. Kids should be all right too, as long as you're not fitting a rear-facing car seat. You might have to move this passenger seat forward just a little bit. Nice cup holders. No rear climate control, but you do get heated seats and a couple USB ports and a few vents back here too. We have a Harman Kardon sound system. We'll test that at the end of this video. A nice panoramic moonroof. Take a look at the hatch here. Tailgate opens pretty quickly. Got a little bit of a cargo cover right here. No spare tire, but we do get a tire repair kit. You can easily fold down those rear seats with two levers right here from the back. I appreciate that. Two buttons, one to close the trunk and one to lock the vehicle. Look at those quad exhaust tips. Set to dynamic mode, those exhaust valves open up, and this sounds pretty nice. Neat looking SUV. Not sure I'd go so far as to say it's as beautiful as the Giulia, but it is a striking design, especially in this green. Let's pop the hood. We'll show you the engine bay with this 90-degree twin-turbo V6. Good on Alfa. Their engines still look like engines. Set pretty far back too, kind of slightly behind that front axle point. Rated for about 17 miles to the gallon in the city, 23 on the highway. Slightly more efficient than the X3M that we had last week. Premium fuel is recommended for optimal performance. It says it right there on the gas cap. High octane recommended. It's a different engine note to a V6, but I really like it. It's very throaty. Can't wait to open this thing up on the road. So, pretty standard Alfa interior here. This is very similar to the Giulia that we had a few weeks ago, the Estrema, and we get a lot of just, it's all Alfa switchgear here. Nothing from Stellantis, no parts bin stuff from Dodge or FCA or Stellantis. It's all just unique, and I really appreciate that. These bucket seats are gorgeous, very supportive, pretty comfortable too. Very open, airy cabin, pretty good visibility. The steering wheel is excellent. The driving position is really nice. I can just have a lot of adjustability here. Stop-start button is right here on the steering wheel. Buttons and physical controls for just about everything I need. We have our drive mode selector here. A for advanced efficiency, N for natural, the normal drive mode, D for dynamic, and then we even get a race mode, which turns off traction and stability control. Finally, we can do that in this Quadrifoglio, and we get 2 damper settings for race mode, mid and stiff or race. So we can also change in dynamic mode from mid to soft, which is nice, especially on our rough Michigan roads. Standard Alfa infotainment here. It's a redundant scroll wheel and touchscreen. As a touchscreen, it's a little bit laggy here and there, but actually the scroll wheel seems to be a little bit more responsive. We also get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Those work great, no issues there, no complaints. We even get a home button, quick access for settings, volume control. Everything is very well laid out here. A couple of cup holders down there, wireless charging. Though this week it always has been telling me that there was some type of object between the phone and the charging element. I've just plugged my phone in right there. Yeah, nice looking interior. Love all the carbon fiber accents. We've got a little bit of carbon fiber down here on the steering wheel too. Alcantara inserts right where you put your hands at 9 and 3. Auto up and down windows on all 4 corners. 3 seat memory settings. Oh, pricing. This is expensive. It starts around $86,000, $87,000, and as tested, this is almost 93 grand. So a few options. Put everything in the description for you guys, but yeah, not cheap. On the used market though, you can get into one of these for about 50, 60 grand. Not too bad. All right, time to go for a drive. Let's see how this does on the road. Here's what the reverse camera looks like. Would still like to see a 360 cam. We just get parking sensors. And one minor complaint I've had with the Stelvio this week is that if you're in reverse, you switch to drive, it does take a minute for that reverse camera to go away and you can get your screen back. There's an X button in the top corner that you can press to get rid of that reverse camera, but that's all you can do. There's no home button or back button for that. All right, so we're gonna start off in natural mode, which is just the normal everyday driving mode. Exhaust valve is closed. It's a little bit quieter, a little bit softer. Transmission programming isn't as aggressive. It's a pretty smooth car to drive. A little bit of NVH over rougher pavement. Saving the squirrels. No savage geese today, just squirrels running out. Steering is very quick. Only about 2 turns lock to lock. But even in natural mode, when you get into the throttle, the exhaust will open up above a certain RPM. We have massive fixed paddles behind the steering wheel. Just a joy to switch gears in. All right, let's go into dynamic mode here. Listen to this V6. Super quick shifts in this mode from the 8-speed ZF. Dynamically, I think this is one of the best performance SUVs I've driven. The steering is excellent. It feels a little bit lighter and smaller and shorter and more compact than its competition. Definitely not as refined as the Macan S, but I don't know, I think it's a little bit more balanced and easier to control in place than the X3M, which is a bit more of a brute. I do really like the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. It sounds great. It's a little bit rough around the edges in terms of NVH and wind noise. We turn off the exhaust here. You can hear there's a little bit of wind noise on the highway here. We get some intrusion from the door seals. It kind of sounds like a window's open in some situations. For the most part, though, it's reasonably quiet in here at speed. But going over potholed, rough roads, these 21-inch wheels and tires don't do this car any favors. Let's switch into advanced or active efficiency mode. Let off the throttle in this mode, it'll switch into neutral and just coast at about 800 RPM. Brake pedal feels fantastic. Nice and firm, easy to modulate. Blind spot monitoring going off there. Suspension is comfortable enough. It's just a little bit loud and crashy over some bumps, which is to be expected from a high-performance SUV in this class. All right, back into dynamic mode. Dampers are in the mid setting. We're gonna hit race here in a little bit, but we're not gonna go there quite yet. A little bit of safe understeer. This ZF8 speed is so fun, especially with these paddle shifters. There's an element of drama here and excitement that I think is lost in a lot of high-performance SUVs. It doesn't quite feel 500 horsepower fast. That's my only gripe. It's quick, don't get me wrong, but after driving around in the X3M all last week, of course, it's BMW horsepower, it's probably a little bit underrated, and the Porsche Macan S, this doesn't feel as quick. But that said, 0 to 60 in this happens in the mid to low 3s according to Car and Driver, so that's pretty impressive. You can hear some of that wind noise, mostly from the upper area. You close the moonroof and some of that goes away. All right, let's go into race. Let's feel the suspension in full stiff. Stiffens up nicely. Great steering feel. For an SUV, I know what's going on with those front tires. That's amazing. Even in race mode, the suspension doesn't get too firm, too stiff in the Stelvio. It maintains its composure, but it's not overly stiff like the X3M could be at times. Oh, and this V6 just sings a wonderful melody. I like race mode. I think let's stay here for a little bit, play around, see how it does in some corners, in some low-speed corners. I will say these paddles are a little bit close to the steering wheel rim. So it does take some intention to get them right sometimes. A little bit messy at the limit back there on that 90-degree second gear hairpin, but higher speeds, pretty well composed, pretty nicely balanced. I like the suspension tuning in the Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Alfa Romeo did such a great job developing this car in high performance driving situations. Love those crackles between shifts from the exhaust. Alright, so we have a relatively straight section of road. Let's switch us into race and see what this can do as far as a launch goes. No slouch, that's for sure. It's quick. One more. Just rips off shifts. See what manual mode is like. Alfa maintains the proper shift pattern. Forward for downshift, back for upshift. Gotta love these ZF 8-speed automatics. They are just so good. The transmission tuning here is really nicely refined, and I think they've tuned it perfectly for each drive mode, respectively. Alright, one more entrance ramp. If you hold the left paddle, it'll downshift to the lowest gear. This Stelvio Quadrifoglio gets a lot of things right and makes for a very desirable SUV. I'm impressed. I've had a really good time in this week, and yeah, I really do like what Alfa's done here. The suspension is very well tuned. I love the drive modes. This race mode is just awesome. Super thrilling, really exciting, not too punishing. And this exhaust. Once you get it on some open sections of road too, it's even pretty comfortable. I like the driving position, these seats are nice. The adaptive cruise control does a pretty good job. You can easily skip 5-mile-an-hour increments. There's a lane centering system. For some reason I'm not really getting to work in this video, maybe because the camera's kind of on my face, we'll see. You know, these are kind of the most desirable types of vehicles these days. Ultra high performance SUVs. You get the practicality, you get the space, and then you get all the thrills with the packaging from a crossover, from an SUV. Is the Giulia Stelvio probably the better performance car? Absolutely. But this really does check a lot of boxes. You're paying a steep price for it, but at the end of the day, it just does a little bit of everything, doesn't it? It's just an entertaining car to drive around. I think this makes for a little bit more livable of a proposition than the X3M. BMW is stiff, and it is harsh, and it is loud on the inside over bumps. A lot of NVH, a lot of impact noise with those Michelins. This Quadrifoglio is slightly better. Ride quality is excellent, but on these 21-inch wheels, it is still a little bit harsh over some impacts. But if you have smoother roads where you live and you're not in a pothole apocalypse of southeast Michigan, I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. You might not even notice it. Love the brake pedal feel, love the steering feel. love the transmission. The engine is exciting, fun, it sounds nice. I mean, this really does it checks all the boxes. I think I'm having as much fun in this as I was in the Jaguar F-Pace SVR with the V8. And I really like this interior too. Carbon fiber accents, the usability of everything, all physical controls, buttons, not a ton of stuff is hidden into the infotainment. It would be nice to get a slightly larger screen, but at least it is integrated nicely into the dashboard, and it works well as a touchscreen. Okay, very good. Well done, Alfa Romeo. Thanks for letting me have a go in this Quadrifoglio. It's been a while since I've driven one of these, and it was only for a pretty short stint. So it's nice to spend some more extended time behind the wheel of one of these. All right, we're gonna park it here, do a quick walk around, show you what this paint looks like one more time, and then we'll go and do a sound system test with this Harman Kardon sound system. I believe it's a 14 speaker unit. Look at these wheels. Just mad looking. Functional hood vents too. Right past the radiator, so it pulls hot air out. Quad exhaust tips. Gotta love it. Nice fender flares here too. Go into our sound system test playlist, turn up our volume, see if this Harman Kardon is any better than the X3Ms last week. That was a pretty big disappointment. Sounds about the same, to be honest. It's not a great sound system. Not a lot of bass, not a lot of depth to anything. But maybe the exhaust makes up for that. I've got to say, this chassis, even just driving it around at normal, reasonable speeds, you don't have to be pushing it everywhere. It feels nimble and light and agile, even though this still weighs about 4,300 pounds, which is a couple hundred pounds lighter than the X3M. Just fun. So much more feedback and tactility, a little bit more accurate than what BMW is putting out. Not as smooth and refined as the Porsche, but you know, honestly, the Porsche Macan was so good. It was almost a little bit boring sometimes. This is the fun one. This is the exciting flavor. Another quick launch. Why not? front end on this Stelvio Quadrifoglio is just so good. When you're cornering, it feels like the chassis is just kind of pivoting around that central point, pivoting around you as the driver. And we're off. Okay guys, well, thanks for watching. That's going to be a wrap for our Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio review. Enjoyable performance SUV. Excited to maybe get my hands on a Giulia Quadrifoglio again someday. That was a pretty amazing sports sedan to drive, and in the couple stints that I have spent behind the wheel. But that said, as a little bit more of an all-rounder package, all-weather package, one car that kind of do it all, this Stelvio really hits a lot of marks, and Alfa Romeo did a fantastic job tuning and setting up this car. It definitely deserves the Quadrifoglio name. It's got the performance, the feel, the feedback, the fun factor to back it all up. Cool. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.